So you know, and I do that. Look, we've had the Brexiteers, especially like the pre-Brexiteers, before Brexit even became a name, basically made a career out of blaming the EU and moaning about everything that EU did, regardless whether it be good or bad. Now, here's the thing: now that they've hated on the EU and that we're quote leaving, although God, I hope common sense prevails and they extend the transition period, but we'll get onto that definitely probably next week because oh boy, there's been some stuff coming out about that. um, they are now hating on Britain, and it's unbelievable. But here you have this from the New European. They hated the EU. Now Brexiteers hate the UK too. You might remember a time not so long ago when Brexiteers like Toby Young, Katie Hopkins, and Daniel Hannan roamed the land hating the European Union and what they saw as a flabby complacency, pointless rules, and polite authoritarianism. That dragon was slain, the pitchforks and torches put down, yet our gruesome threesome have found no happiness in the sunlit uplands. Instead, they have discovered another monolithic mashup of countries to hate, complete with all the same enraging traits as the rotten old EU. And this time, the thing they hate is the UK. Come on, Britain, grow a pair, wrote Hopkins on Twitter. What happened to the British people's bulldog spirit? asked Toby Young in the Telegraph. As during World War II, we are getting used to authoritarianism all too easily, warned Hannan in the Washington Examiner. What they can't seem to countenance is first that Britain is responding to lockdown with a shrug and a quiet G&T rather than wetting itself and screaming, "I can't take no more of this," like Tiger King's Joe Exotic in his prison videos. And second, Britain seems to be considered in a state of intervention and prioritising lives over money are the right and proper things to do. I no longer recognise the people I live amongst, moaned Hopkins on her blog. I am a goldfish on the wrong side of a bowl. The country I thought I knew is distorted beyond recognition, and thought I don't have this virus. I'm gasping for air all the same. And why, in this strange new corona world, my neighbour seems to believe everything he is told. He weeps on command at pictures of coffins. He's told. He looks at the state for income. The bastard. Young, who stands for free speech, free schools, and most likely free love on the free love freeway, declared that we've become a nation of authoritarians, and wailed that even the Germans were doing freedom better than us, polling at recent polls which showed that just 44% of Britons judging the government's measures not severe enough, but 44% of Germans claiming that Angela Merkel's response had been too severe. He wrote, according to popular mythology, the Germans are a pinched and hidebound rule followers, whereas the British are rebelsarians and true freedom lovers. Turns out that's not true. It is almost enough, wrote Tobes, to make you think that our sense of selves as a nation of indomitable warriors has always been vainglorious nonsense. What have we been talking about for the past couple of years about glorifying the empire and all that stuff that it brings with it? Well, we've just been able to keep this myth alive because of the last successful invasion of the British was in 1066. But if Hitler hadn't paused at Dunkirk, perhaps we could have faced no better than the other conquered European peoples. Past the smelling salts, it's almost as if Toby Young has achieved sentience. Meanwhile, the brain of Brexit, Daniel Hannan, was panicking about the nightmare scenario in which we, the voters, might argue that if the state could find hundreds of billions to fight the coronavirus, it could easily find smaller sums to support industry, write bigger welfare checks, or subsidise healthcare. Will we cheer on leaders who promise to save us from ourselves to take on total power for the collective good? Well, he is hoping, although that's probably not the answer Hanan is looking for. Still, it's nice to see that he still has the sheer brass balls to write about COVID-19 at all, having assured the Conservative Home readers back in mid-February that I'm going to be sticking my neck out here. You're unlikely to be killed by the coronavirus. Yes, the disease is unpleasant, and yes, in some circumstances, it can cause complications that lead to fatalities. But it is unlikely to be as lethal as the more common forms of influenza that we can take for granted. There's no reason to panic. Cheer up. That was from Daniel Hanan, the brain of Brexit. Probably one of the worst calls of this whole crisis. I can pretty much assure you that we've covered on this channel. What's ironic about Hopkins, Young and Hanan, the professed disappointment in the people of Britain is that they've spent much of the last 4 years telling us what the people think is sacrosanct. The people have spoken, and the bad losers who think they know better. Ignore them at their peril, wrote Hopkins in 2017. The government has an interesting take on this, while currently briefing that they can't possibly ease the lockdown because opinion polls show that public strongly support restrictions. They are also briefing that they can't possibly extend the Brexit transition period despite opinion polls of the public strongly supporting an extension. Doubly ironic is that Young and Hopkins in particular love to bore on about an easily offended snowflake generation. So why should lockdown Britain offend them so? Perhaps it's because they see the public once again trusting in data over gut feelings, supporting expanding public services and state aid, prioritising the health of the collective over the freedom of the individual to do whatever they like at whatever cost. And in all those things, they see the seeds of their own defeat. That's true. The EU ventilator scheme, for example. Why on earth did we not join that? I hope when we have the open, and again, I hope it's open, this inquiry into this whole thing, I hope that is examined particularly hard, because there's already talk about taking this government to court over not doing it, because there's reasonable cause to suggest that the government, based on ideological grounds, has essentially committed attempted murder or something like that. But it could happen. I don't know if it will, but hey, we can live in hope. We can indeed live in hope. So, as usual, stay safe and keep well.